Look, I'll be straight with you about what needs to happen here. Tom needs to step up and fight for that undisputed championship. The White House situation with Tom is done. Let's get Pereira against Cyril and make it happen for the title. I think we're getting close to that reality. Just think it should be for the interim belt.
Alright, so scientists basically proved that social media is literally rewiring our brains, and I'm not talking about some vague theoretical connection here. They measured actual dopamine receptors, the things in your brain that control pleasure and reward, and found direct, undeniable correlations with how much time people spend scrolling through their feeds. Like, this is hard neuroscience we're dealing with, not just speculation.
There's been chatter floating around that Tom got asked to give up his title. Word is the UFC approached Tom about vacating, and here's how you handle that. It's all about the PR game. We own that belt. We can take it back whenever we choose, but that's not the play we want to make.
Has to fall down and hold his...
The participants who were heavy platform users, man, their brain chemistry was completely different. We're talking measurable neurochemical changes that you could see clear as day in the data. These weren't subtle shifts either. These were significant, documented differences in how their brains were functioning. And what's really eye-opening is what this means for digital wellness. We're not just talking about, oh, maybe spend less time on your phone. The implications here are substantial and far-reaching. This changes everything about how we need to approach screen time and platform design.
Spot. Never even got outside the first.
Story goes that Tom fired back with no problem. Just release me from my contract. I'll vacate if you let me walk. I'm hearing what you're putting down. We can talk about me signing again and coming back for my belt, but I'm keeping my doors open. You want this from me? Here's my terms. Now honestly, that doesn't sound like Tom's usual approach, but that's how the story's being told, and if Tom actually said that, mad respect. Nothing but respect, because he's fighting for himself. Tom has every right to stand his ground because people have incredibly short memories about Tom's journey to the top. They're forgetting he destroyed his knee against Curtis Blades.
Sacrifice of the family.
But here's the thing, and this is important to understand, they still need to do more research to nail down the causality. Like, does social media actually cause these changes, or is there something else going on? That's the million-dollar question. Plus, researchers are actively working on developing intervention strategies, actual practical solutions to help people who might be affected by this. Because once you understand the scope of the problem, you realize we need real science-backed approaches to deal with it.
Tom rebuilt himself from scratch, got his swagger back, started rolling again. Everything he accomplished, he earned. He was on his path, he agreed to face John Jones, never held things up for money or time, did whatever was asked. Bottom line, he handled everything perfectly. Complete team player and a legitimate star. You might be forgetting how he claimed that interim belt originally. You might be overlooking that war against Sergey Pavlovich, where Tom was fighting in England. They threw this together so quickly that Tom's wife couldn't even make the trip to support him. And this was his moment. Madison Square Garden represents something special for the family, for Sergey too.
Time.
You hear Aspinall, that cold-blooded intent. Pereira vacating that light heavyweight belt isn't a choice. It's the brutal reality of his body pushing him to heavyweight, to that White House megacard. But Tom is that monster Izzy warned about, a brick wall in Powhatan's path. This isn't a casual move, it's a desperate gamble for legacy, pushed relentlessly by the UFC. Pereira will fight giants, but only after his own body has already fought half the war just to make weight, leaving him exposed, a weakened target for predators like Aspinall. What happens when that well of physical resilience runs dry? You tell me. Alright, so what are we really witnessing here? Beyond the belts and the headlines. We're seeing the raw, unforgiving calculus of ultimate power. Tom Aspinall isn't just fighting for a title, he's forcing the entire landscape to bend to his will. His mere presence alone is a psychological pressure cooker, pushing a legend like Pereira to make agonizing choices, exposing the delicate balance between legacy, ambition, and the brutal reality of physical limits. This isn't just about punching power, it's about the fight IQ to navigate your own brutal reality, about knowing when to retreat, when to gamble, and when to confront the monster head-on. Dana White pulls the strings. Yes, but guys like Aspinall, they are the storm. And that, my friends, is the lesson. In life, in competition, there will always be an Aspinall demanding your best, exposing your weaknesses, forcing your hand. The question is, will you crumble under that pressure, or will you use it to forge your own legend? Think about that. Stay strong, stay hungry, and I'll catch you on the next one.
Here's where it gets tricky though. Tom wants to step into boxing, and that's dangerous territory where you can push too hard. There's no real boxing opportunities waiting for Tom. There aren't any for these guys, period. Boxing isn't what they imagine it to be. It's not some massive guaranteed payday. None of the fantasy they think exists. Sure, you've got those rare exceptions. You've got McGregor versus Mayweather, but McGregor versus Mayweather didn't happen because Conor went to war with the UFC. McGregor versus Mayweather became reality and printed money because the greatest showman of all time got involved. They mixed those worlds together and everyone was willing to roll the dice. Just so you know, they're now partners with the UFC, so that door's basically closed. Don't want to crush Tom's dreams here. Just laying out reality. If you can box and handle MMA, it's the same athletic commissions, same processes. Just for reference, the real opportunity stays in MMA. There's no legitimate world title shot in boxing. There's also no big money fight in boxing. That's pure fantasy. But Tom would keep those options available, and if that matters to him, it's just slightly different from how Tom usually operates. Take that information and use it however you want, but now let's examine Alex Pereira, because if Pereira's moving up to heavyweight, then he needs to commit to being a heavyweight. Don't think Pereira would argue with me on that. Don't think Pereira would have any issues giving up the 205-pound crown. Instead of working with the organization, John went rogue, did his own thing, returned the belt. That didn't go over well, but it's John's way. There's some wiggle room there. Then he disappeared for 3 years. 3 full years sitting out trying to bulk up for heavyweight. Pretty humble move from John actually, because honestly, John could have stepped in and captured that heavyweight belt immediately, but I'm just telling you how it all played out. So if Pierre follows the exact same blueprint, staying in light heavyweight form, pursuing the heavyweight championship, and by the way, I don't need any downtime. Let's roll. I can fight light heavyweight today, or I can fight heavyweight. Doesn't matter. Let's go. That's a gangster move. Totally fits what Alex Pereira brings to the table, but I don't think we're seeing this correctly. Don't think it's wrong at all if they fight for the interim championship. Not at all. I think that's perfect. I do believe if Pierre and Cyril fight, there has to be a title involved. It needs to be booked as a potential 5-rounder. Pierre is a world champion. When the world champion fights, a championship has to be at stake. That can be the interim belt. But instead of this idea that we have to take Tom's belt away from him, nothing against Tom personally, we just need to keep moving, and it has to be for the undisputed championship. No, I'm not buying that, but I would support that in that situation. The fighter who should get stripped or vacate the belt would be Pierre, and I don't think Pierre would object or care even slightly. Let those guys handle their business. If heavyweight doesn't work out and I want to return, I'll come back and face whoever's champion at that time. Like Israel Adesanya said, you guys deal with that monster.